What's up, guys? So, today I wanted to discuss something that is relatively political because I hear so many people with so many different opinions, and of course, I have my own personal opinion, which, as always, I am going to disclose. But I wanted to bring this topic up just to see where you guys are coming from, what you guys think, because I sometimes do not even know what to think anymore. So, with my title, there is a specific direction that I want to go for in this topic, and that is let's give let me give a couple examples. So the first example would be that there is this mentality out there that for some reason women are usually victims of everything bad, negative, terrible that happens today to them. Say if they are not getting paid decently, it's because they are victims of the system, of oppression, whatever it is. But for me personally, I like to look at it as what has that person done to make their situation better. Have you decided to pursue, say, a higher education because that stuff is looked at as valuable in this society and it makes you more likely to be hired for more decent, better paying positions, or at least that's how it's supposed to work? Um, or have you decided to give you a very easy example, to mess around, get pregnant, and complicate your life to where those goals are not impossible to fulfill, but clearly you, by bringing a creature that is dependent upon you into the world, you are complicating your life. And then there is also the racial aspect of this discussion. Let's say that you think that just because you're a minority, you are inherently someone who is at a disadvantage. How true is that for you guys, from your perspective? How much truth is there to that? Because I have been debated on this a couple of times, and I have been accused of being ignorant and intolerant and not comprehending the situation of certain individuals. And to be completely transparent about the discussion that I was having, it's uh, the racial aspect of it being black people. Like, we all perceive black people as being at the bottom of society. Just to be quick about this and put it out there and just go over this and be transparent about it. So basically, what inspired this last discussion that I had on this matter was that I was watching on TV an individual who was like in court over something. Unfortunately, I don't recall what the crime was, but this person looked like, just based on their appearance, they looked like they were out of it, possibly under the influence of some kind of a drug or alcohol or just something. So I said, you know what? That person, under the influence of certain substances, did something bad. And if this person is someone who consumes that type of thing, I think that they are a threat to society and they should be kept away from the public. But in their time away, they should be taking some kind of remedial course. And what I mean by that is, how can we help this person become better? How can we help them overcome their addiction, their behavioral problems, whatever it is that lands them in hot water? What can we do? Because I do not believe that locking someone away for years makes them any better. I think that it tends to aggravate the situation because you are depriving a person of their liberties and you're making a person go mad being stuck between four walls. And to give you a little side note on that, I always remember school, ISS, OSS, in school suspension. All that would happen in ISS that my classmates would tell me is you get taken apart to another classroom with other kids who did stuff to get them in trouble, and you work on your assignments with another teacher who is just, you're just there. It's quiet. You are just taken away from that your regular scheduled classes to be with these groups of kids who got in trouble over something, and you're not being tutored, you're not being advised on how to behave better, none of that. And additionally, with OSS, all it is out of school suspension. You get in a fight, that's the most severe offense that lands you in OSS material. All that they're doing is depriving you of going to school, and all you're doing is getting absences, missing class, falling behind. But what is happening during OSS that's making you a better student, a better child? Nothing. So let's apply that concept to adults. What do we do with adults who commit bad things to make them better? I think that is more of an effective um, course of action than just locking someone away. And I know that in some cases someone is too dangerous to where we cannot consider that there is a turnaround for this person. But anyways, now what I am trying to get at is, when are you a victim and when is something your fault? So, say from the political perspective, something that I have heard is that certain communities are deliberately kept really, really low. Like there's the so-called systematic racism, whatever they call it. There's the so-called some communities are maintained without funding and all that. I'm not saying that I don't believe in that. It's not very difficult to go out there and observe that some communities are clearly at a disadvantage. But when it comes to the members who are part of that community, if you are someone who makes the decision to consume a drug and you become an addict, when are you accountable for the consequences of the things that you do when you're under the influence of substances? So, say if you were out on the street and someone approaches you with a drug, whatever way it is that people get hooked on drugs. So, let's say that you're out and about in the street, someone approaches you, they offer it to you, and you decide to mess with the drug, and then you become an addict. And then from there on, you start getting in trouble, you start missing work, or you get, I don't know, you stop being an efficient, productive person, and you get yourself in trouble pretty much. Is that your fault? Are you a victim of the person who got you involved and addicted to drugs, or are is it your fault that you are in trouble now? Because if you are someone who knows that drugs are bad for you, if you're someone who knows that, say, excess sugar is bad for you, that not sleeping is also bad for you, all those things, is that your responsibility? I think it is. So if it were, say, someone young, like a child who sees something and they think that it's candy, and then they end up having a taste of it, and they end up all broken and lost and struggling, that I can understand. Like, this was a victim, this is a child, defenseless, they didn't know, and they were unprotected. And in that case, I'm like, of course it's not the child's fault, they are a victim. But when you are a older person, grown with knowledge and wisdom, I would hold you to a higher standard, because in my personal life, I have never been offered anything like that. But if I were, I know how to say no. I know how to reject it. So if you're actually someone who in your adult years, that's when you fall victim to these bad habits, I think that you were conscious about your decision. So I think you need to be held accountable for that. And I cannot really look at you as a victim when you made a poor decision. Just like, let's say, the women who complain that their lives are bad because they don't get paid well or something. Did you decide to get educated? Did you decide to protect yourself and not get pregnant to where your situation gets complicated because you're not from a rich family and you need to actually worry about what your income is and how to pay your bills because you don't have financial stability? Things like that. When are you a victim and when are you responsible and a victim of your own decisions? I have heard this time again and again, and I know that it is a relatively sensitive topic, but what bothers me is that the individuals who I tend to sustain this conversation with or attempt to, they tend to get pretty defensive about it. And I'm like, when you get with that negative attitude, you are not promoting someone to be open to the discussion. And I think that's part of the problem of why things don't seem to improve in society. If you intimidate someone into having this discussion just because they are asking you questions to which you do not have answers to, and you just feel uh, like when someone asks questions, the way I look at that is this person is curious, this person is genuine and interested in learning, so I am so happy that they are trying to engage me in the matter. So but when you get defensive and mad that you're being questioned and that we're not just accepting your information and your theory, I think that you're not encouraging an open discussion, and I think that you may be perpetuating people's ignorance and the problem. Because I would not be encouraged to discuss topics like, or I would not be encouraged at all to discuss topics like this if I know that I am going to have a very unpleasant time every time that I do. So, anyways, I just thought I would throw that out there and bring up the question to you guys. See what you guys have to say. If you know something specific that you think I should look into, because, like I said, at least in 2018 life in America, I would like to say that we have improved on a lot of things. Like, I don't feel like I have to be going out in the streets and being so frightened about my safety just because of what I look like, what I sound like, what I act like. So, I want to say that things are better, but some people out there believe that it's absolutely not, that things have gotten worse. And I'm like, well, at least I don't feel like I am what can I say? Like, I'm not in control of my life at all. At least I know that there's stuff that I can do to put myself in a better situation. And I guess not having a very strong background with, say, financial stability, that puts me at some kind of disadvantage. But it is now my time to start making decisions that are going to put me in a better situation. So I'm not going to just sit there and blame something very vaguely, and if I am vague about it, what am I mad about? Like, say, the question that I have about systemic racism is, which places out there are actively racist? And what makes you say that systemic racism is what prevents you from progressing? Where is it? Show it to me, demonstrate it to me, prove it to me, and then I'll be like, okay, that is a monster that we need to fight. But again, this is just my experience, and remember that I'm from the lower ranks of society, so maybe I will never understand that. Like, say, being educated, pursuing an important position, and being turned down just because of my appearance. How do you even know that you're being turned down because of what you look like, what you sound like, what your culture is? Like, I need to know better what makes people declare that stuff. And say, for females who get rejected, what makes you say that you are being actively oppressed by some patriarchy? How do you know that you're being turned down just because you're a woman and not because you are not the best equipped candidate with the skills and leadership traits, whatever the hell it is that the job posting is looking for? Experience. So, anyways, guys, I thought that I would just put that out there. That's the info that I'm just going to throw out there, and you guys can do with it whatever it is that you want. I am going to catch up with the comments, and after that, I gotta bail because I have to leave. Cosmic Kirby says, not just women, minorities also, and as one, it sickens me. Hi, Zambri, how are you doing? I hate people rob people the way hardworking people earning their own money got taken away by shortcut lazy people. It's up to the parents to be grown to teach their children about real life good and bad. Exactly. That is something that I mentioned to the person who was debating me. I was like, my mother was single and she was low income, and I like to think that I'm a pretty decent quality person, And then the person who was engaging me in this was like, that's the problem. You like to think that everyone had the life that you had. And I'm like, I know that a lot of people don't have the life that I have, because I am exhausted and saddened by hearing stories of my friends who tell me that they cannot trust their mothers with anything. Like, they cannot tell their mothers about uh, dreams that they have, curiosities that they have, crushes that they have. Whereas with my mom, I can do all that. So I think the problem is your house, your mentality, your culture, or something like that. I want to say that is truly what the problem is, and it's not society, because society is too big and not everyone is experiencing those issues. If everyone was experiencing those issues, then okay, definitely it's something in the environment. But I like to I like to get to the origin of the problem. So, why are these kids or these adults broken? Why did their parents not teach them any better? Why, what made them get to that situation? Where did we fail? Where did they fail? What happened? And because usually whoever I'm debating doesn't know how to answer that question, that's why I tell them, well, there you go. Why are you mad again? You know, the evidence is there. Some people had irresponsible parents. So when you do not have a very good example growing up, I can see why this would be particularly challenging. But if you obtain the wisdom and knowledge and you know what it is that keeps people from progressing, I think at that point you are responsible for making the right decisions. My mother definitely did not have the greatest upbringing, but you know what she said? She said, I'm going to break the snowball. I'm going to break the cycle from becoming worse. So that's why she raised us significantly different. So why are the mothers who belong to this, let's say, social landscape, why can they not see that? Where are we going wrong? See what I mean? Because a lot of it, I think it's an issue of upbringing. So I want to just understand the origin of the problem better. I don't like to just hear, oh, the political atmosphere is the problem. How is politics making your situation worse? Um, because, like I said, I like to think that we have come a long way compared to, like, what, 60 years ago, 50, 70 years ago? So come on, we need to get better about being less vague and actively naming better examples. Uh, let's see. I've always thought way too much emphasis is put on punishment. It doesn't address the problem. It is important, but it is not the only thing that's needed. When somebody got caught drunk driving, then a judge gave him or her chance that the next day the man or woman got killed in a car crash. I hate people asking me for weed by judging me by the color of my skin. People be so addicted on drugs they do anything. In the case of drug addicts, I think it is their fault, but I don't think that means they don't deserve help. A poor decision can happen in a second and result in a struggle that goes on for life. I agree with that. I'm not trying to make fun of kids being overweight. It's the parents' fault for giving the kids fast food every day. That kid already big, of age 10. It's never the kid's fault, but the parents have the power. Exactly. It's like me. I know that I had kind of a poor diet growing up, but when I think about it, I'm like, look, my mom did what she could. I never went a day hungry. So now that I'm older, now I can make decisions to repair that damage, which again, my mom did not try to harm me, but there was only so much that she could do. Depending on how said addict responds to help when they get it, then maybe you can write them off. You can lead a horse to water, but if they don't drink it, that's their own fault. Yes, Zamri, you're so blessed. You're telling the truth. People need to listen to get help. I hate that people always saying that you can tell me what to do. I hate that. Oh, I was saying earlier, as well as punishing a problem, the reason the problem is there needs to be addressed too. I like to use Batman as an analogy. When I messed up in life did or doing something good, it's up to me. Every problem Batman has, Bruce Wayne's checkbook could solve better. Instead of going out and beating up the poor and mentally ill, maybe invest in infrastructure to give them better jobs. I almost got thousands of files of racist people who want forgot watching over me. I mean, think about it. How desperate would you have to be to commit crimes in Batman's city? I know, right? Now, obviously, I know it's not real, but the analogy is still sound. Address the cause, don't just punish the symptom. Happy blessed Tuesday, everybody. Yes, most parents want to be in high school again. I hate people blaming about the person and so much more. I believe your mother's such a sweetheart, super strong. All right, guys. Well, I will leave you guys with that. I appreciate so much the inputs that you have supplied with me thus far. I will definitely come back to this topic because there is so much more to this than I had time to say in 20 minutes. But I look forward to opening up this discussion because I think it's important and I think we all deserve to be heard and particularly be heard and be frank about it as opposed to just when you're in the presence of someone who cannot handle this type of a topic, you don't end up addressing it well and it just turns into a big mess. So, thank you guys so much. Yeah, I'm not sure when I'll be able to resume this topic, but I will definitely keep it a priority because I think it's important and it's very relevant to what we are experiencing in our society presently. All right, guys, thanks so much for tuning in, and I will see you soon.